again, friends. Welcome to a new edition of the Reimagine You Lab podcast with me, MG. I'm so glad that you guys are here tonight. And I just want to make sure that if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I want to make sure that you are on the list, especially if the content's good. If you're enjoying the show, please let us know you're enjoying the show and subscribe. The other thing is, don't forget to hit the bell so that you get the notification every Friday when a new episode drops. All right, so you know what? I got this beautiful lady in the lab tonight, and so I just want to jump on in. Nakea, welcome to the lab. How are you?
Thank you. I am well, thank you. Blessed and highly favored, and so honored to be on the show with you. And I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here and jumping on and bright and smiling and all of the good things. We're gonna have us a good show tonight.
Absolutely.
Hey, I am going to, because you know how I start off every show. We're going beyond the bio so that you can tell people who you are and where you are, what you do, how you do it, because I know that they are going to be excited about what we're talking about tonight. So I'm going to throw the ball to you, girl. You got it?
Alley-oop and assist. I got it. So good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Nakea. I am in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am a project manager for a healthcare payer, and I also write poetry and I crochet. I'm a mother of 3 daughters, all of whom are Drexel graduates, very proud of them, working in their fields, making their way through life. I am the daughter of former restaurant owners, Naomi and Eugene Adams, formerly of My Blue Heaven in Philadelphia, and also the daughter of Keith A. Jones, the late Keith A. Jones, who I will be mentioning later. And I'm also an avid churchgoer, a woman of faith, and all the things, like I
all
said.
those good things.
All those
All those
things,
good
yes.
things. Well, Nakea, I am so glad that you're here because you know what? I was excited about we just gonna jump into the book. We just gonna off the jump. Is that good? Is that okay?
Good.
You know what? I'm so glad that we had a chance to connect and interact. What in September? In September,
Late
I mean, like
September.
we've connected and talked and stuff before, usually in meetings and groups and stuff like
Right.
that. But had a chance to sit down with you in person, and I was like,
One-on-one. Yep.
that was awesome. And then you go on to tell me that you're a writer and a storyteller and girl, like all the feels and chills and all that stuff. I said, come on, girl. And then you went off and published a book. I said, go ahead, Nakea.
I couldn't have done it without you. It was divinely orchestrated. I could not have done it without you and your team. And I'm so grateful and appreciative and blessed.
You know what? I'm grateful too that we had an opportunity to be able to support you and bring something to life for you. So as we talk about this, as we introduce it, I want you to introduce the book, because when you shared with me your writings, I was like, oh, this is good. But I didn't even see the writings first. You was telling me about it. So I want you,
right.
We was eating our cheese and crackers and
yes, and fried ravioli and yes.
yes. So I want you to tell people tell them what this book is about and what it is. You know, like now we can't tell them everything that's in it because we want to make sure that they get it.
We want to make sure they go get it. Yes.
Yes. But we do want to tell them what it's about so that you can kind of whet the appetite just a bit.
So it truly is a journey about love. Ever since I can remember, I'm infatuated with the idea of love in all its forms. And I started writing in high school, back in the 90s. And of course, as I'm honing my skill and as I'm honing, of course, the first few writings were kind of rudimentary and, they were on the high school level. And it really is a journey of my reflections on love, my experiences with love. There's haikus, there's short poems, there's long poems, there's short stories, really about the narrative. And I was very much influenced when I was 18, and I went to Adunde and I bought the book Black Erotica, or Erotique Noir, which was had a foreword by Ntozake Shange, and it was a collection of essays, poems, writings, and I was really influenced by that because the reflections were so beautiful, and
Yeah.
some were imaginary, some were real life scholarly things about Black erotica and Black love and all of that. So I was really influenced by that at an early age. So Love Illusions is really a journey from high school. It's 20 years worth of my work. For 20
20
years,
years.
I would write and put it in this cloth folder that my Aunt Dorothy Foster gave me. It was a
Okay.
brown folder with blue swirls on it, and all of my writings. The papers are withered and torn and worn. And in 2022, I typed everything up, but my dad was suffering from cancer, so I couldn't really focus on publishing at that time. And once I met you, I understood why, because you were meant to publish this and we were meant to work together. So it was the right time. And, unfortunately, Daddy passed May of 23. But this is definitely a reflection of all the love from all the influences, all the love that I've had in my life.
Yeah. You know what? I really love that. I hate when you were sharing about your dad passing away and everything. I was like, man, that, you are, those are always hard things, and to
Definitely.
lose love, right? Being a daddy's girl and all of that,
Forever, forever daddy's
yeah,
girl.
yeah. And so, Nakia, thinking about that, when you, as a woman of faith, a daddy's girl, because we're all of these things, right? We're never one dimensional. There's so many
No.
things that
Mm-mm.
make up the most of us. And, as you were, when I was reading through Love Illusions, even the title itself, Love Illusions, because sometimes there's love that's real, right? And then there's love that's an illusion.
Illusions. Hmm.
So I want to say that I can guess how you got to the title, but I'm gonna ask you, how did you get to the title? Like, what made you say, you know what, this is it?
Pretty much exactly what you said. There's love that's real, and then there's love that's imaginary. It's in your head. And then there's love that's an illusion that's presents itself as one thing and is really something different. Or sometimes we make more of something than what it really is, or we just have these visions of love, or like Mariah Carey's song, I had a vision of love, and all those things. So Love Illusions is really about capturing all the nuances of love: real, imaginary, illusion, the impact, all of that.
Yeah. No, it's a good read. Like, it's a real good read. And
I
I love
appreciate that.
that
Thank
you,
you.
yeah, it really is. And thinking about, high school and getting out of college, and that first real relationship that you spend so much time and energy in, I mean,
Yes.
all of those phases are captured. And so when as you were penning, and I'm gonna ask you about, like, kind of more recently versus, like when you were in high school, what's the difference in Nakia now? Right? Tell us a little bit of those differences, because I'm sure there are some.
Yeah, yeah. So, high school Nakia thought she was doing something, thought she would knew what love was. I got this. I know how to be in a relationship. I know how to make it work, make it last. This 51-year-old Nakia has been through some things, and 51-year-old Nakia has some different views, and 51-year-old Nakia has been impacted and shaped by things that have happened in life that were in her control and out of her control. And how you navigate those things that are both in and out of your control really shapes the person that you are. Do you spiral and lose your mind and go out of control, or do you pivot? The project manager in me, that plan, do, check, act. You
Yeah.
plan your life one way, you go about things, you do things, you check the result. Is it working? Is it not working? And then you act, you pivot. and you kind of follow that path of,
Hmm.
plan, do, check, act. Is this working? If it's not working, what do I need to do to make it work? So
Yeah.
51-year-old Nakia has been through some things, and you know has some different perspectives.
Yeah. You know what? I love the whole plan, do, check, and act, or act and then check.
Check and then
What is
act.
check
Because
then
once
act? Okay.
once you check things out and you see what's not
You
going
just
well,
have
then you act.
okay. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Mitigate those risks.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think it's so key, just as women, right? In workplaces, in businesses, there's those things that do make up who we are, that cause us to, have that 4 point list like that, like for us
Oh
to govern
yes.
our lives by. What Nakia, what would you say was a pivotal moment for you that led to a significant change?
An absolutely pivotal moment for me was May 9th of 2020, losing my biological father to COVID. I am the oldest and only girl of his 7 children. I have 6 brothers under me,
Hmm.
and not being able to get to him, having to watch him go by Zoom was, I've never experienced anything like it and never experienced anything like it. And I know that there's over 1 million families who experienced the same thing that I experienced.
Yeah.
But being a daddy's girl was and is so much of who I am. So much, I always say God knew I would be a handful, so he knew I needed 2 daddies. And to lose, when I lost my biological father, once my other dad, Boney, I never said stepfather because my parents have been together since I was 2 years old. So he's always been my dad. I've just had 2 dads. But
Yeah.
once my bonus dad passed, once he got cancer, I was at his appointments. I was by his side. I cared for him in ways that I couldn't care for my biological father. And I thank God for that opportunity to care for him in ways that I couldn't care for my biological father. So losing both of my dads to diseases that were out of my control, there was a part of me that was, thought that I had lost the only 2 men who ever loved me without agenda in my life. And
Mhm.
it was absolutely pivotal, especially for my biological dad, because I now had 6 brothers that I had to wrap my arms around. We had to get through this together. And the sports, I had 2 brothers that were under 18. My youngest brother is a senior in high school. So this was 5 years ago. He was 13 when that happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely pivotal time in a young man's life.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I would
Mm.
show up at his football games and his soccer games. Maybe it wasn't soccer, maybe it was flag football. But I would show
Mhm.
up at his sports events, and I would look up and I would say, "I got him, Daddy. I got him."
Mhm.
So it was
No.
important for me. And then my other brother above him was in at the University of Michigan. He is now touring around the world with a theater program. He was in the theater program at
Yeah.
University of Michigan, which is,
Yeah.
world renowned program. So
Mhm.
um, I show up to his plays. I go to Michigan. I go to where he's performing, and I show up for him because I know Daddy would have been there if he was still here. So
Yeah.
losing my dad to COVID was pivotal because I had to, not that I wasn't always big sis, but I really had to step up and make sure that my brothers were okay.
Yeah. No, you know what? It's so much of our lives to make sure that those people in our lives that we love and care about and value, know that, right? And being there,
It matters.
and yeah, it does. It really
It just
does matter.
matters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's not something that you can replace, I mean, it's just it's key. So no, I think that's so honorable of you, and
Thank
I'm sure
you.
that your
Thank
brothers
you.
appreciate you for
Yeah.
doing that for them.
And when my
Yeah.
bonus dad passed, my mom and my dad have 31-year-old, oh my gosh, 31-year-old twins, Nicholas
Okay.
and Naomi. And so I had to be there for them as well when daddy passed, even though we were we were all together when he passed. So we
Okay.
we we were bonded in that way.
Mhm.
We all showed up. He was never without one of us by his side at all times, whether he was in the hospital, whether he was at home,
Mhm.
whatever it took to make sure he was comfortable. We all chipped in as a family, and we were all together when he passed. My brothers, of course, my biological father. I've got a brother in Michigan. I've got Virginia, New Jersey, they were in different places, so we
Yeah.
weren't together. And of course, it was COVID, so we watched by Zoom. So,
Mhm.
it was very difficult. But
Yeah.
being able to be with my siblings when my bonus dad passed was definitely we relied on each other's strength, and he was surrounded by love, and that's what
Yeah.
matters. Hmm.
No, that's so good. That's so good. You know what? When I think about what's your perspective on the idea, which this is
Hmm.
reimagine you,
Hmm.
you come into the lab, and I believe that change is a choice, right? Like there, and sometimes where we lean into change, or sometimes we're pushed into a
Absolutely.
change, and we don't have control always of the change. But when you think about change is a choice, tell me your POV. What's your point of view, your perspective around that?
So change is a choice, and an change is a so change can be externally or internally motivated. For example,
Mhm,
my
mhm.
losing my dad's to a disease, I had no control over that. I didn't choose for my life to change in that way to become a fatherless child, even though, obviously I'm not actually fatherless, but, with both of them gone, it can seem like I'm a fatherless child at this point. But
Right.
that was not a change that I initiated or wanted. I often said to my friends who had lost their dads, I said, okay, I'm in this club. I said, are there meetings? Do I get a folder, a t-shirt? Daughters who've lost their fathers. I said, this is not a club I wanted to be in, but here I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, so change is a choice. But again, as I said earlier, what you do about the change you experience really impacts not only yourself, but those who are watching you. Sometimes as we know, what we go through is not always about us.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's to strengthen our faith muscle so that we can help the next person who goes through that. So I can show the next person I know who, for example, even my church daughter, she grew up with my daughters in the church. She just lost her father unexpectedly a couple last
Yes.
week.
Mhm.
And I can say to her, I know what you're going through because I've been there. I've walked this walk. So
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I'm not saying, I don't have to say I can only imagine how you feel, because I absolutely know how you feel.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff
Yeah.
we go through isn't just about us, it's about how we help the next person. But that's why it's so important to, even if you don't embrace the change, no one is saying you have to wrap your arms around the chain and change and love it. But
Mhm.
sometimes resisting it or fighting against it can do more harm than, it's sort of like that picture of holding on to a rope that's pulling away from you. And the whole time your hand is burning and you're getting rope burn. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow and not fight against it, not be a
Yeah.
salmon swimming upstream and going against the flow. Sometimes you just go with the change, try to see the change from all angles. How can this change help me? How can I use this change to my and the benefit of those around me, whether it's professionally, whether it's personally,
Mhm.
whatever it
Mhm.
is. It's embracing the perspective that the change official. All change is not, doesn't have to be adversarial. It doesn't have to be painful. You can
Right.
embrace it. You can embrace it and use it as to your good and to the benefit of
Yeah.
others. So it's about perspective and how you see the change. And it is a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to go with it, or you can choose to fight against it, but you probably won't get very far fighting against it.
Right. The change is gonna happen, right? Like
The only thing that
that's
stays
a
the same is that everything must change.
change. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I think about all of the things that really kind of take us out of balance sometimes, right? Change
Mhm.
comes, there's something that disrupted what was considered our norm, and so then
Absolutely.
it's kind of like, okay, I'm a little bit off kilter. How would you say that you balance the need for stability, and with that drive for innovation? Like, there's so much that's going on and coming forward, as a project manager. I know, like, there's always something new we're implementing. There's always something new that's coming down the pike, and getting our traction around it, right? Checking those,
Right.
checking and seeing how do you balance that need for stability versus that drive for innovation?
Well, it's sort of the approach of, there are professional careers that require continuing education where you have to
Mhm.
take classes to stay updated. And life is kind of like that. You have to stay involved, stay engaged. And yes, there are things that require stability. I need stable income to provide for my family and to pay my
Right.
bills. So I need that to be stable, and I don't need a whole lot of fluctuation and change in that way. But
Mhm.
there are other aspects of life where innovation and change can be good.
Mhm.
Upgrading your home, remodeling your home, making your house a home is, that can change. Every 5 years, maybe you put a fresh coat of paint up, or get some new pillows, or, something like that.
Do a little
Just
spruce up.
freshen up your, yeah, just freshen up your atmosphere. Maybe, when we upgrade our cars, we want our cars to be stable and reliable, but every 5 years or so, there's some new technology. Electric cars come out, or hybrid cars. So you've got to stay in the know. So it's really about continuing. It's really about being a continuous learner, and
Yeah.
identifying where innovation can happen and where stability is necessary. So,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs take risk. Entrepreneurs don't always have stable income, and they have to look at trends and what store can I open? What product what's hot now? What's the new it thing? So being
Mhm.
on the pulse of what's happening in the world, and just
Yeah.
continually, learning, is really important when you're trying to manage stability versus innovation. Innovation can only happen where there's a demand for it. You can innovate a product or a process, or, something, no demand for it. If there's no consumer interest, then it could be,
It could be for not.
for
Yeah.
all for naught. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. You know what I was just thinking about, there's so much around, you know, staying motivated, right? Staying um preparing ourselves.
Mhm.
How would you say that you kind of stay motivated? You've dealt with the death of both dads, right?
Mhm.
you how do you now stay motivated, like, from whenever you're facing like some other setback or challenge? And maybe it's not a loss, but maybe it is, it's a pivot that you had to take, or how do you
Mhm.
stay motivated?
But God. 2 words, but God. I know that
Yeah.
He is the author and finisher of my faith. I know that everything in my book of life was written before He knew me, before I was formed in the womb. His word is hidden in my heart. His word is a light unto my path, and it guides me and
Yes.
strengthens me and keeps me. Lots of prayer. If I don't have words to say, I could sit for an hour and say, strengthen, comfort, and keep me, oh God. Strengthen, comfort, and keep me, oh God. Strength. If that, sometimes that's all I have. Strengthen, comfort, and keep me, oh Lord. So I stay motivated because I have 3 children who are watching me. And I'm going to be a Duchess in May slash Mimi. So I'll be a grandmom in May of 2026.
Hey.
So I'll have a new little person watching me. And I have siblings who are watching me. And I know that, my faith tells me that the Lord came that I could have life and that more abundantly. So if
Absolutely.
I'm not at abundant life yet, then I know I've still got work to do. And I
Yeah,
know He's not done with me yet. So those are
absolutely.
the things. My faith keeps me motivated. Knowing that my siblings and my children are watching me keeps me motivated. My little cousins, um, you know, I have a
Yeah.
huge, large family. So those are all things that keep me motivated.
Yeah, I love that, Nakia, because we have to stay motivated, right? We don't want to be in a depressive state or in a state that we can't do. We still have to get up and work every day, and
Every
still
day.
have to keep things moving. And
And
so it's
like you
so
said in the
important.
beginning, all the roles we play,
Yeah.
mother, daughter, sister, this, that,
Mhm.
gotta stay in the game.
Gotta stay in the game. How would you tell people, how do you cultivate a mindset that embraces change rather than fears it? Because sometimes, like we all the hats we wear and the things that we doing and stuff,
Right.
what we want to just embrace the change, and we're not going to be fearful of it, because fear is something that holds people back so much, so much. And change, a lot of times, AI, there's people that's afraid of AI. That's an innovation that's coming forward that,
Absolutely.
everybody, and I'm
Absolutely.
like, lean in. I'm like, lean in, y'all have some fun. Come on, join in. So how do you cultivate that mindset that enables you to embrace change rather than the fearing it?
So there's something I saw, I can't remember if I saw it on social media, but there's two ways you can look at fear: face everything and run, or face everything and rise.
Oh, okay, I like
So,
that.
so it doesn't have to be a versus or adversarial thing. Change and fear can cohabitate. It doesn't have to be either or. Both things can be true. You can be
Mhm.
afraid, like they say, do it afraid, do it anxious, just do it.
Yeah.
So both things can cohabitate. What matters, as I said earlier, is what you do with the fear. If you allow the fear to paralyze you and keep you from taking steps forward, then you've allowed it to have a detrimental impact on what could be a very positive and beneficial change in your life. So
Mhm.
acknowledge the fear, recognize it, and say, you know what, I'm going to do this anyway. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then I plan, do, check, act. I recognize what doesn't isn't working, and I pivot and do something different. Don't be afraid to ask for help. When change comes, talk to somebody. Hey, listen, this change is happening. I'm not really sure what to do with it. What do get someone else's perspective. Use your village, use your therapist, use your, friend circle, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Don't be afraid
Yeah.
to ask for help when you see change coming. Change can be scary facing it by yourself, but if you do it with friends or with others, it can be a little less scary. But
Yeah.
don't let fear paralyze you and keep you
Yeah.
from moving forward.
Yeah, no, I love that. Nakia, oh my goodness. I always feel, I'm like, the time goes way too quick. Like, we just don't have enough time for all of it, for everything. I want you to tell people where they can get the book Love Illusions. Y'all, I'm telling you.
Love Illusions is available on Amazon, and it is published under Nakea Marie Jones. And that was intentional because the only thing I had in my biological father's name was my birth certificate, or is my birth certificate. And now I have a published book in his name, and it came out on December 6th, which was his birthday. So happy heavenly birthday to my dad. And Nakea Marie Jones, Love Illusions, is available on Amazon. And I am appreciative, humbled, and grateful for all the love and support and how it's being received.
Yeah, like it's a good book, you guys. It is poetry. It is some thought. I'm telling you, very thoughtful, very insightful, Nakia. I think it's good, girl. Like, I tell people, hey, y'all get it, and then let me know what you think about it. Like, I want your feedback, because it's gonna take you on a little bit of a journey when they get into it, for real, for real.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that because I know you've been doing this a while. So I know good writing when you see it. So having your feedback and your stamp of approval means so much to me. So thank you and Latoya and all your team for
Oh, thank
everything they
you.
did to get that project literally out the door in 60 days. It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was worth it. Like it. I mean, like it. Girl, you are a great storyteller, and you
Thank
draw
you. Thank
people
you.
in. Oh, y'all, make sure that you guys get a copy. All of the info is in the description below. So you guys, we got the link, so it'll take you right over there to get the book. Thank you, Nakea, for coming into the lab
My
today.
absolute pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. All right, fam. You guys know it's time to close up, but I want to thank you for joining us today, meeting Miss Nakea Marie Jones. I want you guys to make sure you get copies of the book. Send this episode to a family member, a friend, just as we talked about change. You know what? Stay motivated, stay doing something new because change is your choice. You get to decide. So I'm glad y'all are here today. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so that you can get notifications for each Friday. Nakea, I am going to see you the next time. God bless you.
All righty. God bless everyone. Take care.